Next, we're going to look at how you can set up multiple, or if you want to add additional service locations, how you could do that. Now first, let me take you to the charge screen to help you understand the service location setup. So on the charge screen, when you're entering the charge, you can see there's a place of service field. When you type in the place of service and select it, it shows you all the service locations that are in the system for that place of service. So if I change the place of service here to any other place of service, you can see that it shows me the locations that are set up with that place of service. So you would need to have locations that are set up for you to be able to select from this service location drop-down. So let's look at how you can set it up. So to set up the service location, you go under the advanced setup and click on service location. That opens up into the service location screen. You can see these are all the locations that are already set up. If you need to add a new location, you can hit the add service location. It'll bring up a blank location screen. You can give a name for the location, address, zip code, and NPI, and you can enter the place of service code in here. So this is where you can pick and select the place of service. There's a legal entity field here, which is typically used for our interface, or used by our interface customers for mapping location to specific legal entities. So this field typically works when the charge comes over through the interface. It uses it for automatic mapping to a service or to map service location to a billing legal entity. There are also some other fields like other external ID, which also, when the service location is created through the interface, this information will populate as a reference ID number for that service location. Certain insurances may also require that the location pass a secondary ID. So you can use these different secondary ID qualifiers, like whether it's a state license number, provider commercial number, or location number, and enter the secondary ID for it in this field to have that passed in the claim. So the secondary ID will go up in the 33, or I correct myself, to go in the box 32, which is a service location field, or the corresponding segments in the electronic for the 32. Now there's also a field here which is code. This is automatically added by the system based on the name that you enter for the location. But if a code is already used up by any of the locations here, then you may want to add or change the code to make it unique, because the system will not allow you to add a location if the code is already used up by any of the other locations. So you want to set up when the code gets added, when you're adding the name for the location, and try to save. If it does not save, just change the code, maybe add a number to the code, so it allows you to add that location. So as I was saying before, once you add the code and with whichever place of service, when you go to the charge screen, when you type in the place of service, you would see that code appear or location appear for that selected place of service. Now you may also have to do billing for home place of service. Now for home, the address or any other information is not relevant, but the fields here have the address, zip code, and other fields mandatory. So what you need to do is to set up a home location is just enter the name here as home and enter either a dummy address or enter your practice address itself in this field, so that you can just add that location into the system. This information is not relevant for home type of place of service. What would happen is that when you add this home location and use this home location on the claim, it is always going to populate the patient's address as the location address. That the system automatically does that behind the scenes. But for the front end side of the system, because the location requires these fields, you can just add with these dummy information. And yes, of course, select the place of service here as home, so that you can pick that location when you are entering or on the charge entry screen.